Right, in this little video, we're hoping to just do a bit of a brief overview for people that are maybe starting out, like we've done with the simple knots, making the pegs, really handy to use. Simple basics is what really we're starting off with these short how-tos. So in this one, we're looking at starting out beginners knives and saws, going on to sort of more intermediate,
more expensive.
So when you're starting out, you don't want to be spending the earth because you don't know whether you're going to take to the craft, you don't know whether you're going to enjoy it. You might think it looks cool, think it looks great, get into it and go, you know what, it's not for me. So therefore you don't want to be spending top end money.
And these things are an investment. So,
do you know what I mean?
It depends on what investment you want to make. These
tools are going to last you, or should last you, a lifetime. You look after them, they'll look after you.
It's like this thing's all beaten up because we've not used it in a while, but you see the blade, it's all worn.
Right. So let's kind of get into the meat and potatoes of this then, right? Everybody, when they're starting off bushcrafting, okay, apart from all the other gear, which we will get into, the first starting point really for us, because everybody wants
a knife,
their first knife, right? Now, okay, we spent a little bit of extra money on this one and got a leather sheath. They come with a plastic sheath.
Yeah, I broke it, so unfortunately we can't show it.
Well, no, I broke it and had to replace it, hence why you got a leather one. Oh, hey ho.
Oh, yeah.
Remember that?
Right. Yeah, that was right. Yeah.
I think I cracked it with the axe, didn't I? I think I caught it with the axe, something like that, and split the sheath. Yeah. So we had to get a replacement. But anyway, where every bushcrafter will go, and even scouts, venture scouts, anybody like that, will use a Mora knife, okay? And that's this. And there are different coloured handles, different lengths of blade, different depths of blade, but they're all pretty much the same. They'll all have a Scandi grind, and I can at some point later on in another video explain the different grinds on blades, but basically a Scandi grind is like a flat angled blade, and I forget the angle of the blade right now, but I'll have to look into that one.
Yeah, don't quote me, but I think it's a 3/4 length tang as well.
Yeah,
I think.
Which means it probably only comes up to where my thumb is there. Yeah. Okay. Whereas this knife has what they call a full tang knife, which means the blade itself is cut out of one, and handle is all cut out of one long piece of metal, and then it's sandwiched between two pieces of wood with pegs and pins to hold it together, which then makes your handle. So it's all one piece.
Makes the knife more durable.
This is like moulded around like the 3/4 tang inside there, and it comes up to there.
Yeah.
Anyway, full tang, more secure, better, I think, than a 3/4. But anyway, this is the Mora Companion, I think, which is the thinner, skinnier blade. Am I right?
Yeah.
Right. I have to consult the guru. I'm getting a bit old now. I personally would say this one is good for food prep.
Yeah.
I really would. Slicing your potatoes, slicing your onions, you know, cutting up a carrot or two.
Very delicate minor jobs.
Maybe slicing through bigger pieces of meat. All sorts of stuff like that. So yeah, the more finicky, more finer, better jobs. And it's in stainless steel, this one. Basically, cost price for that, was it 15?
15 quid, I think.
Yeah. 15 quid for a Swedish well-made knife. I can't even tell you what the steel is. It 1080 or 1050? I can't remember, but the specific types of steel. We can get into those semantics at a later date.
Not say on the blade?
No, I don't think it does. It may do, but no, maybe not.
No.
But they're made in Sweden. Very popular, very cheap and cheerful, and they're basically everybody's beginner knife. Mm-hmm. I had one, Matt had one. I think I gave mine away.
Oh, that's mine.
Yeah, it's Matt's. I gave mine away. So yeah, Mora knife for £15. I think that's worth £15. Well worth giving Bushcraft a try. First knife. What's 15 quid these days? It's nothing, is it?
And everybody needs a knife. Just opening parcels and
Cutting string,
string.
anything around the house.
Just handy to have.
Handy to have. So as long as you're over 18, then yeah, you can get yourself a Mora knife. They're really useful. They're really robust. You can do all sorts with them. You can feather sticks, which again we'll show in a later date, but that's for fire starting. You can baton, which is where you have the knife on top of a thicker log, and you get a mallet or another like thicker piece of log, and you beat the top of the blade, and you're knocking the blade down through the wood to split it into pieces.
If you don't want to buy an axe, then you can get a decent knife that will take enough abuse, and you could just bat on your wood instead of buying a fancy axe.
And I've got to say this
Which is
caveat:
even cheaper. But
a lot of people are against batoning knives because they think you don't really need to. There's no need if you've got an axe or a machete. Yes, I understand axes and machetes are for chopping and splitting wood. I get that one.
well, if you want to spend £70 to £80 on an axe, then go ahead. But
You can. If you haven't got an axe and you say if you're out on a trip and you're keeping your pack as lightweight as possible because you know you've got a lot of hiking to do, which you don't want to do with a big load on your back, you need it light. You leave your axe at home because you know you can split. If you've got the bushcraft skills, you can split down a piece of wood just as good with a knife.
Mm-hmm.
It's as simple as that. And these are the skills that you pick up and you learn along the way, which is where sometimes under certain circumstances you will leave bits of gear at home because you won't need them.
And skills are more utilitarian than a specific tool, because a tool can only be used for so many things, yet skills, you can use them for pretty much most things.
Exactly.
So I'd rather have skills than individual tools.
Yeah, exactly. And even the plastic sheath comes with a belt loop, which there. Mm-hmm. This is a leather one. We just prefer the leather. That comes with a belt loop. Stick it on your belt. It's always there to grab if you need it. But yeah, simple £15 budget knife, and I think, to be fair, that's worth anybody's investment. Okay?
Oh, definitely.
Now, we also move on to saws. Okay? If you want to invest in a saw, which most of us do, again, you don't want to be spending the earth. You want to keep it cheap, again, because you don't know whether you're going to take to the craft or not. Right? Now, a lot of people will go online and they'll just buy any old pruning saw. I would say don't, because some of them are crap. You'll hurt yourself because they'll fall apart, the blades will break. You'll probably end up spending twice where you only really need to spend once. In my opinion, with my recommendation, in our experience, and we have both had, and we have even encouraged friends 4 years ago to get the same knife, and they would recommend this. Did I just say knife? I mean saw. Sorry, we're getting old. It happens. We've recommended this saw to friends. They've gone and paid out, bought one, used it, loved it. Right? This is what we call a Baco Laplander. Okay? Mm-hmm. Looks kind of fancy. It's also in a nice forest green. It's got that kind of curve to it, a bit like a kukri machete has. Nice and grippy, nice length. The blades have they're coated in this black coating.
Anti-friction coating, I think it is.
Yeah, I think it's supposed to be like an anti-friction coating. Which, unfortunately, after much use...
Rubbed off due to friction.
Does rub off due to friction. But it's just use, isn't it? Wear and tear. Now, there's a nut there, a nut there and a bolt there, and you can undo it, and that comes out as one piece. And you can buy these blades for £12.50, I think, something like that. The overall unit, that's handle and blade, you're looking at spending probably what?
20 to £25.
20, 25 quid at the most. Shop around, you may find one cheaper on maybe Amazon, eBay. There are sellers, you can get them cheaper. So yeah, really good budget saw that will last a long time, will cut quickly and smoothly because it does have a thinner metal blade than most, but with that you have to be careful of it bending at the tip. So that's the only thing you have to watch out with these blades.
And we did want to experiment with the saws when we first got the backhoe, and we wanted to try different saws.
Yeah.
And we bought an even cheaper saw off eBay, I think it was, and it was called the Wolverine.
Yeah.
And it was awful.
Horrendous.
It didn't cut anything.
Oh,
so,
it was terrible.
So we just stuck with that for probably 2 to 3 years, I think.
That saw us through building, I would say,
And
5, 6 shelters, 4 or 5 raised beds, cutting countless stacks of firewood.
as much as of abuse as that blade has clearly got on it, that's still quite sharp, and that will still cut relatively well. And that blade hasn't been replaced since we bought that probably 2 years ago. So, what money you are spending replacing the blades, it's going to last you a long time.
Of course it is.
And we've done loads of hard, long jobs with these.
Yeah. We've done some massive builds, we've done some small builds, we've done some multiple layer type builds where you would do a shelter, and then in that shelter, instead of lying on the floor on your air mat, you might then want a bit of extra comfort. So you then go and build a raised bed. So you therefore then got another project to do within the project you've already done, multiple layers. You then want to build yourself maybe a bench outside your shelter to sit at near the fire. You then perhaps want to build a tripod so you can hang a pot over your fire.
Or a soaring horse.
We even built a soaring horse, which is basically a high-up bench that you can put your logs on, keeps them secure, saves your back from bending over, hurting your back, cutting loads of wood. Yeah? So there's multiple things that you can do. That has seen us through many a project.
So even though to most people £20 to £25 maybe pocket change, it may be nothing.
To people starting out, I think 25 quid is quite a bit, don't you think?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I think 25 quid's enough. You wouldn't really want to spend any more on something that you really don't know whether you're going to take to or not. You might not like the cold. You might find you don't like all the noises in the middle of the night, because you'll hear things in the woods that you do not hear in your house.
We still get creeped out.
We get creeped out a time or two. We've literally done the last bushcraft trip we did. We barely got a wink. Well, he did. I didn't. I was up sticking my torch out. And I'm 43 years old and can rationalise quite a lot of things, but there were noises I was hearing in those woods that freaked me the hell out.
Couldn't explain it. But...
It happens. So yeah, you're talking what? 25 quid for that, roughly 20, 25 quid, and 15 quid for that. 35, 40 quid investment for 2 tools that will last you ages and will see you through much practice. Well worth it. Right, now we go kind of a little bit further up from that. We were thinking, okay, we don't really want posh gear where buying a knife,
a Ramirez
knife, for example, or some of these TBS bores. All these names you probably won't know if you're a beginner, but some of these are some of the top brands, some of the top names. You're talking 150, 200, 250, 300 pounds.
If you are wondering, that is a TBS bore sheath.
But it fits the Mora perfect.
But it fits the Mora.
Yeah.
And it's only like 15 quid for the sheath. So.
Nothing. So instead of spending 250, 300 pounds or 160 quid for some of these more expensive, all shiny bells and whistles and knives.
Can I just say, when you're going to prices upwards of £100, you will start to see Damascus blades on those price ranges, and let me tell you, don't waste your money on Damascus. It's a funny gimmick, and it's a selling point, and that's all it is. It doesn't improve the function or the utility of the knife.
No, it doesn't.
Just a bit of advice there for you.
Damascus knives basically are made for the Japanese, for swords. That's basically all they should be used for. It's a fancy, posh thing for a forger to incorporate in the metal because it gives it a fancy look. It may make it maybe sharper. I really don't know.
It gives the company an excuse to put a fatter price tag on the item, and that's all it does.
So this is getting, and I'm glad you've mentioned that, this is getting to the point that I'm about to make to you. As a beginner, there you go. You've got your selling point, your price point. You don't want to go really above 30, 40 quid for 2 items, which I think is brilliant. Okay, coming up from that, when you've been in it, say 6 to 12 months, you might think, I want to treat myself. I want to get a better knife, a bit of a different shape knife, a bit of a different shape handle. You might need something a bit beefier in your hands. You might have big hands, right? That might feel dead skinny and thin, and you know what I mean. You might not like it. You might want a saw that will perform better than that, stays sharper longer than that, is thinner than that, is flatter. There's all sorts of reasons why you might want something better, but we all want to upgrade eventually, don't we, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So we got to the point where we wanted to upgrade. We saw some of the prices of some of those extortionate blades and we were like, nah, sticking with the Mora, sticking with the
because if
Baco.
I was spending over £100 on a knife, it'd go in a cabinet and I'd never use it.
You'd never use it. You'd be scared to death of losing it. You'd be scared to death of beating it with a log. You'd be scared to death of giving it the abuse that it should get. For example, we'll stay on knives, okay? Ignore the Fire Striker that we've attached to this. That's just for convenience, right? This is a company that was recommended and is a favourite of Really Big Monkey One is his Bushcraft channel name. His name is Dave Pearson. Absolutely lovely bloke. If you've subscribed to us and you want more things like this, but you want an innovative guy, a guy that's also a little bit funny, he knows his stuff. What he doesn't know ain't worth knowing.
He's got an absolute wealth of knowledge.
Awesome guy. I will always give him a big shout out, and I do copy and use a lot of the things that he does because that's where I've got a lot of my inspiration from with regards to Bushcraft. Love the guy. Love to meet him in person. Not going to happen. Lives in the US. Shame. So, Condor as a company. Condor as a company, I think our price point are mid-range. Now, with pretty much most things I buy, probably because I'm a bit Scottish in me, I don't want to spend a fortune. So I keep things reasonable. Now, I will weigh up quality, functionality. What you will get out of this knife, you will get out of a £150 knife. You will not get anything more out of a £150, £200, £300 knife that you can't get out of this.
Yeah.
And in fact, I would haste to say that you will probably get more out of this because you will be confident to use it because you haven't spent £300 on it.
Yeah.
You'd be scared to use it, you'd be scared to beat it. Yeah? So, Condor, Bush Law. Awesome. £50. Now, I don't think £50 is too much to pay for an upgrade between the two.
First immediate difference is if you turn the knife on the side. You've seen the difference in thickness between those knives.
It's a bit beefier.
So you can abuse it, and it will take it quite well. So
yeah. I mean, you can abuse the Moras, but I wouldn't do it on the Companion because the Companion's a little bit thinner than the bog standard Mora that you get. But yeah, this has been pounded and pounded and pounded upon and has never let us down, and I don't think ever will. Okay, as Matt's quite nicely pointed out, it's got a very thick spine. It's also got a much deeper bellied blade across there. I'm being careful when I run my finger along there.
Yeah, you've just sharpened it.
I just sharpened it. Okay, that was nearly an A&E visit. And that's got what's called a drop point. That's just the shape of that, just for reference. But you can see, as we were explaining before about the tang, it runs all the way up the full length of the blade. You won't be able to see that because it's buried in the handle.
Yeah, you won't.
But that's why. Full tang knife, you see it running all the way through. Okay? And those are the brass pins. And you can put that on if you want. If I need to choke up on that blade, but come back down the handle a little bit more, I'll wrap that round my 2 fingers in the middle, and it just gives me a bit more security. So I can hit with it. I can get a nice tight grip on it, so I know it's not going anywhere. It's attached to me, makes it feel a bit more secure. But yeah, I digress. £50 Condor Bush Law. Lovely leather sheath with their emblem on. Really, really well made.
High quality leather.
High quality leather, but it's from El Salvador, so I think it's Spain, right? But nonetheless, really, really good quality. For 50 quid, I'd recommend that to anybody. Okay, absolutely anybody. Now, have you said all you want to really say about
Well, I was going to say,
again, it has a Scandi grind on it like the Mora.
With the Mora, because it's a lot cheaper, the quality of the steel or the metal that you're getting on the knife is going to be completely different. And the one thing we have noticed between the Condor and the Mora is this barely rusts. Say if you're out on a trip and it starts to rain and you're using it and you don't really dry it off, you just put it back in the sheath and then
gets a bit down,
bung it back in your bag. If you don't properly clean it or whatever or dry it off, it will rust your knives. But this is, for some reason, just won't rust, no matter how wet it gets.
I don't think it's stainless, is it?
No, I don't think so. No, but it's clearly a lot better quality metal.
It's better quality metal,
than the Mora, and the Mora rusts very, very easily.
Yeah.
So I just want to say that.
No, that's absolutely fine. Right, so moving swiftly on from the knife comparison, from the sort of 15, 20 quid to the 50, we then go from the Baco Laplander, and I would say a close competitor of, really,
kind of neck and neck, I would say,
is the Silky Gomboy. There isn't much in it. Timed, I think, in a video, seconds wise, there's probably, I don't know, 8 to 10 seconds in cut difference between that and that.
Cut efficiency.
Cut efficiency. Now, this is what they call a Silky Gomboy. This is a Japanese pruning saw. This comes from a range of saws by this company Silky, and they are classed as top of the range. You probably will not find anywhere else any better. And they come in a range of sizes, and you can get something called the Katana Boy, which is literally like the length of a saw. And I'm talking about just the blade. A sword. No. I'm talking about the blade being like that long.
It's a two-handed handle as well, and you could probably cut
you're cutting a big tree down.
You could cut a 12-foot tree with it.
Higher. Big.
12 foot in diameter, I mean.
Now you're talking for one of these, what was it? Can you remember?
40.
Costs was about
40 to 45 quid. Probably
45.
Probably a little bit more.
Maybe
if you're
creeping
online.
up, probably about 48, depending on where you get it from. With that, you'll get the handle and the blade in a case. If you need to replace one of these blades, you're going to be spending 40 quid just to replace the blade.
Yeah, so you could buy another.
You could buy a whole unit for that, but it's because of the quality of the metal in the blade. It's not cheap. They have a reverse teeth, so it makes them more aggressive when you cut. The difference between a Silky Gomboy and a Baco Laplander is, you see the teeth there. I don't know whether you'll be able to see them.
Yeah, I can see them, yeah. Let me have a look on the camera, see if you can zoom in on it. You go closer.
Right, I will show that. Can you see that, where you've got a single row of alternately kind of angled teeth?
No, you can't see.
You don't see that, no.
There we go. It's just a single row. Let me get you to focus. It's just a single row. There you go. Single row of teeth.
All the way down the blade.
Evenly spaced between the teeth, even gaps.
Yeah.
Whereas on the
Silky
Silky,
Gomboy,
it's double teeth.
you've actually, see me, just hold on. Let me just see if I can.
Up a bit.
Can you see how the cut is on those teeth?
Oh, there we go.
Yeah. Very, very aggressive. The sharp side is on the back side of the teeth on the Silky Gomboy, purely because with a Baco Laplander you can push forward and pull back, and it will cut both ways like a normal saw. Okay, but with the Silky Gomboy, it will only cut on the pull stroke. So when you're pulling that way is when it cuts, and that's when you need to then apply the pressure. You then release the pressure and push it back through the slot. You then pull and push and apply the pressure, and that's when it cuts on the pull stroke. It's a bit weird to get used to, but you do get used to it.
Now, I found that
all I can say is hot knife through butter,
because this
is not an understatement.
This is a conventional, normal toothed saw.
Yeah.
When you're using it, has a tendency to jam in the wood a lot
Snag.
more.
Yeah.
Whereas that one, I haven't had a snag with it yet in the wood, so it's a lot cleaner cutting through the wood.
It is. Yeah. It really is. It also has, if you notice that, a different angle that you can set it at as well for cutting. So say if you've not got enough knuckle room down here, say if you're like hitting your knuckles against, say, a branch that's sticking out, you can press that, click it up to the next one.
Whereas that, you just stuck like a banana.
Yeah,
so.
you can change the angle so that your knuckles then aren't getting caught. It gives you a bit of extra space. Just a bit of a quirky extra with it. But yeah, these are absolutely awesome. Again, costly. So for the whole unit there together, saw and knife for the Condor Bush Law and the Silky Gomboy, you're talking £100 worth of gear there.
Mm-hmm.
Now, £100 a hell of a lot when you're just starting out. I would recommend, really would recommend, when you're starting out, go grab yourself a backhoe Laplander. Go grab yourself a Mora knife.
And there's many different Mora knives ranging from many different prices, so it's down to you.
It really doesn't matter. Stainless steel if you're going to be in a wet climate, carbon if not. That's the only difference. Then you've just got length, shape, things like thickness of blade. Just go for something standard, something reasonable, about £15-20 mark. Don't spend any more than that. Same with the saw. You're laughing all the way to the bank. You're good to go. And you can do everything with them that you can do with these. I get fatigued quite easy. The thinking was, if I got this, it's less cuts, I can get through the wood easier, cleaner, less effort. So it saves me getting fatigued. I can then put what energy I've got left into doing other jobs. So that was the thinking behind the Gomboy.
Yep.
You know what I mean? And I will say, it stood up to that, hasn't it?
Works, yeah.
Works. Yeah. Brilliant. Your choice. So yeah, to close.
Yeah, it kind of wraps it up.
It was just a, for a beginner's pack. We'll go into the rucksack side of things a little bit later on in another clip, but everybody wants to know about knives and saws. We haven't really touched on axes, but again, like with the knives and saws, you can get just a cheap hatchet. Doesn't matter if it's a Fiskars, if it's just from your local hardware stall. It doesn't matter. Go grab one for 20 quid. It's an axe. It will see you through a year or two of practice. It'll see you through a bit of abuse to the blade.
Because you don't want to start off with a 70 to 80 pound Hulter Force axe and then completely and utterly ruin it because you don't know what you're doing, or
Husqvarna, or Wetterlings, or Gransfors Brooks.
Yeah.
4 top makes. Expensive. Obviously, better metal, better handles, easy to sharpen. There's all those types of points, but
again, most of those brands are Swedish.
And
a lot of knife brands, saw brands, and
Sweden.
Axe brands are Swedish, and the Swedish make amazing tools.
Yeah.
And we swear by them, the Swedish. So,
Okay. Right. I think we've kind of reached the end of this.
The phone cut off because the battery died. So
we lost battery. It happens. I were waffling too much, started ranting, and the phone cut off. Typical. Right, so, okay, guys, if you've enjoyed this and it's giving you a bit of an insight and an overview of where to start, because you're scratching your head, you're not sure, here you go. Okay, so if you've liked what you've seen, please go ahead, hit the subscribe button if you haven't already. Like, share with your friends. Okay.
If you want to see more related videos like this, reviewing gear or giving you advice over certain things, then give us a comment on the video. Tell us what you would like to see, or what you want to hear about.
Oh, and don't forget to hit the notification bell.
Yeah.
Because that little symbol, that notification bell, will let you know when we next post a video out. Really important.
And recently we set up our own Patreon page, and we've got 2 tiers of memberships. So if you'd like to go over to our Patreon and become a member and donate,
link is in the description.
Link is in the description, and we really appreciate anybody that wants to be a Patreon.
Yeah, entirely up to you, but yeah, feel free. It will give you exclusive content. I don't know, live streams, community chat. You can sort of get to know us a little bit more.
Different perks to different tiers.
So pop over there, links in the description, see what you think. Entirely up to you. So yeah, like, share, subscribe.
Thank you.
Comment.
Thanks for watching.
Thank you very much for watching FNS,
FNS
BUP.
Or BUP. Yeah.
As we've now kind of renamed ourselves, because we've branched out into urbex and paranormal videos as well, and you'll see those in different playlists. If you want to, when you come onto the website, the channel, have a look at the playlists. We've got 3: Bushcraft, urbex, paranormal. Hence FNS BUP.
Yeah. Thank you guys.
See you next time.
See you next time.
Bye bye.